Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Homemade Homestead. I am Lindsay. I'm so excited that you are here. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about our homestead. We are going to be talking about where we are going, what we have done in the past, why we are here, how we got started. So let's get going. So we moved to Northwest Arkansas just over 3 years ago. We moved here from Colorado. It was something that we had talked about for so long. My husband and I knew, we knew 10 years ago we wanted to eventually find property for ourselves. We wanted to start this life with our children where they could grow up and they could experience the outdoors. They could get to know where their food comes from. It just all of these things that we talked about for so long that 3 years ago, we finally had the opportunity to make it happen. We were in Colorado where everything was just crazy. We were in the hustle and bustle. My husband, he worked in law enforcement, so we were dealing with that during COVID, and I had started a new job that didn't support my pregnancy, and it was kind of this wake-up call for us. We knew that this is the life we wanted eventually, and we were in a good place. We were in a good place to sell our house. We were in a good place to kind of uproot and start over. My career had kind of changed, and my husband wanted out of the craziness of law enforcement, and Colorado also wasn't a good place to support that. And we knew roughly where we wanted to go. We had looked at Wyoming, we looked at Montana, we looked at Tennessee, we kind of looked at Idaho. We looked all over the place. We landed on Arkansas, a little bit of family close by. We still just kind of picked a spot on the map, and we were like, we visited a few times. We thought it looked nice. The area was growing like crazy. We found our house after the price had been lowered, and we jumped on it. We drove overnight. We we called a realtor. We were like, "Hey, we're coming." He didn't believe us. We drove down here, we saw the house, and we put an offer on it as we were driving back to Colorado, all within like a 36-hour time period. And we knew this was the one. We found it was just over 6 acres. We loved the property. It was about 4 acres of it's wooded, about 2 acres of it is kind of cleared land with our house on it. The house is beautiful. We were able to get it down to a price lower than what we were selling in Colorado, and it just kind of the dominoes just kept falling. My husband, he found a job and he ended up moving out here before my it was one daughter at the time, before her and I moved too, because we were kind of finishing selling our house there. We were in a little bit of a transition period, and I'm telling you, it was a marathon. We kept going. I was exhausted. I was so stressed out. I think I lost like 10 pounds during the whole process. But long story short is we made it. We got started here. It was pretty much a clean slate. So the house, it was built in 2020. They hadn't done a whole lot to the outside. There was like not much going on here. They didn't really have a garden set up. They didn't have animal structure set up. They didn't have any of that stuff. So we came in and we were like, you know what, we want to do chickens. So we bought our first chickens in a coop. That was kind of the first thing we did. It was just a pre-made coop, and we bought a pre-made outdoor pin from like Tractor Supply, and at the beginning we bought four by four raised beds. So if you saw my garden video, you could see those. But those beds, I threw in some plants that I found at Home Depot that were already on sale because it was so late in the season. Our garden wasn't successful, but you know what? We felt like we were off and running. And right when we got out here, a couple months later, I was pregnant with our second, which was planned. We knew we wanted to do all these things, and we were here uh, without a tribe. We didn't really have that village that was there to support us at the time. It was crazy, guys. We we just kind of kept going, and now we're here. We have, over the years, we had a pig at one point. Unfortunately, we had some kind of trials and tribulations with the pig. We loved her. Her name was Helen. She was about 7 months old, and she went to the processor, and it was traumatic. I was newly pregnant, so I made it more emotional. And then we got her back from the processor, and within about a week, our freezer went out, and we lost Helen. So we did not actually get to enjoy any of that from her. We've had bees in this time period. Our bees did swarm last summer because we had such a bad drought. And then this year, the spring was a little bit crazy, so we didn't end up getting bees again this year. But next year, I do plan to get two more hives. We loved having them. There are things I would do completely differently. I would put them in a better location. I would check on them a lot more often. I'm a little more comfortable than I was when we first got them. Different things. This year it's actually funny, not funny, but we haven't seen any bees. So we are constantly I've been trying to attract pollinators every which way that I can, but I think I need to get some bees to help this area with its bee problem. Um, we have also so mentioned our first round of turkey or our first round of chickens. We actually don't have any more of those original chickens. There was one that lived up until this year and we had a fox issue. But we have had a couple rounds. We've had issues with, neighbors' dogs that have gotten into the coop and taken a lot of our chickens. We had issues with raccoons. We've had issues with foxes. I think we had a skunk at some point. We've had snakes get into the coop and steal all of our eggs. It's been a learning curve. We didn't come from this. We have kind of started doing this all on our own, and we have watched countless amounts of YouTube. We've read blogs, we've read instructions, we've tried a lot of different things, and over the years, some things have worked and some things have not. And the whole purpose of me starting this YouTube channel is to try to help somebody who is like you, who wants to start this type of life and needs a little guidance. I didn't really have the guidance that I wish I would have had. I didn't have somebody telling me like, "Hey, this is what works. Hey, this is what doesn't work." So I want to be there for you to do this. And starting this YouTube channel has been a long time coming. When we first moved out here, I started on Instagram and I grew a nice little following there. And it's been so much fun. I've done so many like little videos, but I want to be a little bit more informational here on YouTube for you guys. I I love doing this, and I would consider us kind of the halfway homesteaders. So, my husband, he still works full time. I still work part time online, remotely, and it's we have two young kids, so we're in that season of life where we're just busy all the time, and I do not have 100% of the time to designate to our homestead. We do not solely rely on our homestead either. So this year we have harvested the most we've ever harvested from this garden. We have gotten endless amounts of tomatoes. We've had endless amounts of peppers. I'm growing my loofah again. I've grown so many flowers. We grew cucumbers and zucchini and squash and okra and beans and so many things this year, and it has been incredible. It's been such a rewarding experience. You can take a look at my last video talking about the garden and some of the stuff that we have going on there. But it's been just crazy that we've been able to do all of this year with how busy we've been. And the beginning of this year was a little bit crazy for me. I had some health things going on, but all of those are finally resolved. And we're kind of kicking it in high gear. Our kids are starting to get to where they're a little bit more independent. I wouldn't say they're independent yet, but they are getting there, and it has been so helpful. They want to be part of it. They want to help pick the vegetables that we grow. They want to cut the flowers and bring them inside. They want to help with the animals. They want to feed them treats. They want to feed them food. They want to collect the eggs. And it's so much fun for us as the parents to see how excited they get about this. And it's all things that the reason we are here is because of them, and the reason we started all of this is because of them. The reason I call it the homemade homestead is my daughter's middle name is May, and so homemade is misspelled on purpose. It was to incorporate her into the title, and I will find another way to incorporate our other daughter eventually, but for now it is the homemade homestead. We are we're going strong. We've added, like I said, I mean, we have almost 400 square feet of garden space now. We have four fruit trees that are growing. We just discovered another, like a persimmon tree that I've never even had the fruit off of, but it is like a 20-foot tall tree that is packed full of fruits that was just growing wild on our property. I feel like every day something new happens and we have to figure it out. But I I love this lifestyle. I love learning to save our own food. I love and preserving. I do a lot of freeze drying. We do have a freeze dryer, and that is kind of my preferred method. I like doing jams and jellies and that type of canning, but I don't have a pressure canner. It's not it's something that maybe I'll do eventually, but for now, that's not what I'm focused on. Freeze drying for me has been great, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of videos about freeze drying as well, and how to freeze dry different things, and just how the freeze dryers work, and how it's benefited us from a food saving perspective. And I'll show you guys kind of what we've saved so far, and how easy it is to save stuff, and how much money it saves in the long run. It's an expensive piece of equipment, but being able to save your food and know that it's going to be good for like 30 years or more is an awesome feeling. And we live where the weather gets bad, and sometimes you just want to have that peace of mind that if the power goes out and long term, or if something happens long term, you have a food source that you can rely on by simply preserving your own food. And it's easier than you think. I think a lot of people think that when you start a homestead, you need to have you know 1, 5, 10, 20, 30 plus acres. And the truth is, you really don't need that much space to get started. And you can be kind of the halfway homesteader like me, and you can uh, you can even start in your kitchen. You can grow seeds on your windowsill. You can start learning to can your own food, or you can start learning to preserve things or dry out fruits. And I mean, the sky is the limit. And honestly, homesteading is just a mindset, and it's wanting to live that self-sustaining life that you can put your time and energy into things that are going to better you guys in the future, and that are going to give back to you in the future. And like I said, it's so rewarding. It's an amazing feeling to be able to go and say like, oh, I need this for dinner. I can go out back, I just pick it out of my garden, and it's good to go. There is a lot of work that goes into, like, once you get bigger and you start growing things, like you start having animals, and you start keeping bees, and you start growing your garden, and you start all these things. It's gonna take time. It is not an overnight process. It takes so much time and effort, and you got to be organized. And you but at the same time, you also have to want it. You have to, like I said, you can start with a pot on your front porch with a tomato plant in it, or like two plants, or whatever you want, and that is awesome. You are growing your own food, and no matter how much space you have, you can grow it on your in your apartment, like your rental house. You don't have to have crazy amounts of property to do some of, like, a lot of the things that I'm doing. My husband and I have worked hard to get to where we are and to be in the position we are in with our homestead. And I just, like I said, I want to be able to share all of this information with you guys. I eventually will be sharing a lot of homeschool content. Our oldest daughter will be in kindergarten next year, and so we do plan to homeschool. We plan to just kind of live an alternative lifestyle than what is considered the norm. And it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. We are not always sunshine and rainbows. We have had, like I said, we've had lots of struggles throughout the years. We've had lots of things that we have learned to do differently, things that we would do differently the next time around. I on this channel so on this channel, I plan to share all of my gardening content, all the homesteading content, all the content with chickens, and we have geese, and we have turkeys. And who knows, we may have a peacock soon. We also do plan to get something like goats to help clear and break down our woods. I plan to share information on our bees. I plan to share some home reno DIY projects that we have been putting off for the last couple years because we've just been busy. Like I said, we have two kids, small kiddos, and they eat up a lot of our time. And it it's something that we're in the same boat as a lot of you. We want to share all this information. We want you guys to learn from this channel, and I just want you to be entertained. I want you to want to see the next video. I plan to share tours of our property, and share different ways that you can make your homestead kind of work for you. I have a background in social media marketing, marketing, sales, business development, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I have done all of that for 10 plus years now. And so I want to share with you too, like, the business side of it. How, whether you want to have like an egg stand at your house or a flower stand at your house, which I plan to do flower stand next year. We'll see how that goes, but stay tuned for that. But if you are looking at ways too to just make money from home, if you are good at managing social media, let's talk about how you could monetize that and go start your own social media management company. Let's talk about how you could be a virtual assistant from home. You don't have to live in such a like everybody doesn't have to do the 9 to 5, and I think breaking free of that mindset is something exciting. It's also something that it takes time to get used to. It takes work to get to that point. But when you can get to the point where you're making money, from home, you're making money on your own time, you're making your own schedule, you're creating your own content. If you want to be a content creator, let's do this. I will help you try to figure out, how to set up like what's the best way to set up your website? What is SEO? What are all of these things? That is something I've put together some like ebooks for you guys if you guys want to see them. Super inexpensive. It's valuable content that I think is useful for everybody, um, especially if you're in the realm of wanting to do something like this yourself. But again, my most of my channel is going to be designated toward gardening tips and animal tips and how to different videos, like how to keep bees, how to build the best beehives for your bees, how to, just all the things. We've worked really hard to get to the point that we are at now, and I am so excited that you're here. I just wanted to share this little introduction video. You will find out so much more about us as the time goes on and as I get more comfortable on camera and as everything changes. We have so many plans in Northwest Arkansas. We have kind of the highs and the lows and the seasons. We have super cold temperatures, we have really hot temperatures, we have super humid temperatures, also some dry. So it is a constantly changing environment. We are in garden zone 7A. So I mean, if you look at the little map of the country, it's a very common area for homesteaders. Let's see, we can grow just about anything here. It's because it gets so hot and we have relatively mild winters too. So, I mean, anything that can grow in this zone it's we can grow a lot through. I mean, my garden season starts in like, late April and goes through early November sometimes. Last year, I don't think we had our first freeze until November. So, the amount of time I can grow is long. The amount of time we have to do projects outside is long. We have an endless supply of pallets from the company that my husband works with. So we can get pallets, we can get those giant spindle things like spools. We can do all kinds of stuff. And I have so many plans. Like I said, the last couple of years have kind of been a marathon, and I'm trying to slow down a little bit. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to do some intentional projects that have been put off for a long time. So if you are interested in any of that stuff, anything that I have talked about, anything that I've rambled on about, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you guys here. Hit that like on this video and stick around for more. I've got so many more things. And I am so excited to share with you everything that we have coming up. So again, hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video.